My name's Mike Epsky, and I'm a Senior Supplier Development Executive here at Sourcewell. And I'm joined today by Jeramy Ostrander, founder and CEO of Electric Vehicle Choice. Hey, Jeramy.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
I'm good.
I'm Jeremy from Electric Vehicle Choice. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. So we're here specifically talking to public fleet professionals in the state of California. And we've got some really crucial stuff to talk about around the advanced clean fleet regulations in California. I realize a lot of you, some of you have already been tackling this. You've got plans in place, you've been working on it for a bit. Others could probably use a little bit of guidance or may have a few questions as it relates to that. And Jeramy's here to share his insight in that. And I think it would be really valuable.
Maybe I'll start with just a little bit of my history so you understand. I've been following CARB regulations for 25 years. I actually grew up in a small family business rebuilding turbochargers. And turbochargers became one of the first emissions components with the Air Resource Board in the 1990s, which was really a part of the Clean Act of 1990. And that's what kind of got me involved from going from turbochargers to getting a better air-fuel mixture on vehicles into after-treatment devices and CARB emissions from the early days of public agency, refuge, and truck and bus regulations. So you're asking questions about CARB. I'll say CARB and EPA, the big difference is California has its own waiver to basically manage its own air quality and go above and beyond EPA and the 49 states. This is important for public agencies located in California because they obviously have to comply with those CARB regulations. And even though they've met past regulations through the public agency side, there is now a new regulation called Advanced Clean Fleets. So really what I was here to talk about was the first milestone is approaching. There are two ways to achieve compliance in California for public agencies. And I also wanted to kind of go over the fact that smaller public agencies, there's a lot of grant money available that will basically cover 90%, if not 100% of some of these vehicles for them. So they definitely need to start acting, and Sourcewell is a great tool to do this in a quick manner without having to go through the long process of creating new bid specs.
Sure. So can you tell us a bit about the deadlines? You're saying there's Jan 1 is one of those, right?
So there's Group 1 vehicles. The first milestone is approaching. There's two programs. The first program is fleets can basically buy 50% of their new purchases can be zero emissions starting this year. Now we only have 3 months left. So what that means is they would have had to start making, whatever new purchases they had, 50% of those new purchases would have to be zero emissions starting in 2024. And they'd have to do 50% of their purchases in 25 and 26. And then by 27, they would have to go to 100% of their purchases for new vehicles. And when I say purchases, I'm talking vehicles 8,500 GVRW and above. So fleet will basically add all their vehicles that are 8,500 pounds and above, regardless of if they're propane, natural gas, diesel. If they're 8,500 pounds and above, that's part of their fleet. 50% of their new purchases would be zero emissions starting this year and carry on until 2027 when they shift to 100%. That's one option. The other option, which most fleets are going to follow, is the phase-in milestone. So that means that by January 1st, 2025, they would have to bring in 10% of their Group 1 vehicles. The Group 1 vehicles would be basically their box trucks, their vans. It'll capture a certain number of vehicles in their fleet. Now, just because they might be buying zero emissions vehicles that are Group 2 or Group 3, they'll still get compliance for that in that Group 1 category.
Having made that commitment to it.
That's correct.
Gotcha. So given the fact that we're really running out of calendar year here in 2024, we're talking in September, there's only a short amount of time left in order to get that up to speed. And, I think fortunate that, you got your Sourcewell contract award when you did, which would allow agencies to make those purchasing decisions knowing that the upfront RFP work, the public bid has already been taken care of. We've had you submit your RFP and you were awarded off of that. So agencies should feel comfortable knowing that they can at least move fast and still make some of these decisions before it starts to impact them. And And there's penalties, I suppose, then that they enforce. Jeremy, is that right?
That's correct. So timing is actually, aligned very well with the Sourcewell contract and the CARB regulations, because we do have vehicles, available, ready to go. That are between the Class 4 to the Class 8, zero emissions. Those vehicles are on our Sourcewell contract. So yeah, it's not uncommon for CARB to come audit fleets and to find fleets that are out of compliance. So you definitely want to keep your fleet in compliance. And the other good thing too is when we talk about grants for these vehicles, not only are the vehicles available, but there's grants available. The state rebates, those are point of sale rebates that require no scrappage that we can write a grant for right now. And those are nice because they bring the dollar amount down when we physically deliver the vehicle.
Right.
Especially for small fleets. If there are 20 or less vehicles in their public agency, they get to double hit that grant, which will cover up to 90% of the vehicle.
Oh, that's great.
In addition to that, we're stacking the federal credit on top. And this is the first time the IRS has ever done this. Because public agencies don't pay taxes, when they file their tax return, we'll give them a special form that their CPA will submit, and the IRS will actually look at it as an overage on tax and send them a refund check back as a credit.
I got to imagine that people like the sound of "will provide that to you." So your team's helping them write these, basically fill out the paperwork, do what they need to do in order to get access to this money.
That's correct. So what we'll be doing is we'll be using the Sourcewell contract to allow a quick delivery, but we'll also be writing the grant in the state of California through the HVIP program to get that point of sale rebate. And then we'll also give the documentation for the federal side that they need to get their credit back.
How does all that impact timing? When you start to layer in, some of the funding process, if here we are in the middle of September 2024, I'm ready to say, yes, let's get a couple new box trucks for my fleet so I can, meet these requirements. What's the timing look like? How's that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if I was to write an application right now to get a grant, it's going to take me on average about 2 weeks once I submit the application to hear back from the state with a voucher ID, which means your money's set aside for our project. The moment that money's there, now we can move pretty quickly. The good news is we do have cab chassis on the floor ready to go that are on our Sourcewell contract. And we have quite a few builders that could put a body on there for us in a 2-3 week period. That will allow us to get that vehicle delivered, hopefully in a timely manner.
Fantastic.
And the important thing about the funding is we got to remember that the funding, there's money in there right now. That money's first come, first serve. And when that money dries up, then the funding will be gone. So that's the other thing I try to tell people is it's always best to get your POs and your grant applications in so we can lock in those vouchers, because we don't want to wait and then the money dries up and then you're paying out of your own pocket for the whole price.
I get how that works. I grew up in a family of all boys. So whoever got to the dinner table first got to eat first, right?
Yeah, there you go. The federal side is kind of nice because even once the state funding is gone, that federal credit it's a 10-year plan. So that started out, and that's for across the whole United States. Doesn't matter what state, what city you're in. The credit is there. That started in 2023, and that will run until 2033.
Oh, so even if you're not trying to comply or fall in line with the CARB requirements, if you're just looking to start dipping your toes into electric vehicles or whatever, that money is available to those agencies as well. Well, that's really cool.
There's still an incentive there, and again, a lot of that would be more public agencies are kind of unique because the duty cycles actually fit majority of these vehicles very well. A lot of public agencies, these trucks don't need to go over 100, 150 miles in one day. They do come back to a park location where they can charge. So you can get the business side of it where you get the cost of savings, and you can also get the health benefits of a zero emissions vehicle.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I know, at Sourcewell, we've got a lot of different contracts out there for cities that are moving towards electrification, even consulting and getting ready, kind of that checklist of what you all need to do just to put chargers into your areas and start to electrify your cities, all the way down to the chargers and electric vehicle acquisitions like you've got.
I think the big thing is I just want public agencies in California to know that that yes, there's a little urgency. This regulation is coming up, and we're here to kind of help make things easier. I know it could be confusing. So when it comes to CARB compliance, this is something we've been doing for a long time, and we can definitely help write the grant money to bring funding in to help pay for these as well. And we definitely use the Sourcewell contract to bring vehicles in quickly.